Hey, everybody, we're here for our second podcast, and we are excited to share some thoughts with you. My name is Kevin Cameron, and I am the father of two girls who are with me right now. And a little bit about us: we are Canadian born, the three of us, with Jamaican heritage, and we live in America. And we love each other, and we just decided that we were going to do a show with the three of us and how we can communicate with each other and communicate with our families better. And so we're just going to talk and share our thoughts about different topics as we do this podcast. And so my name is Kevin Cameron.
Hi, I'm McKenna Cameron. I'm the oldest of me and Kendall, and I'm 14, and I'm an artist, and I'm just glad to be here with you guys.
Hey guys, it's your girl Kendall. What's up?
All right, so we are here, and today we are talking about something that's so important, and that is conflict resolution, and how important words are, like how they can hurt you and harm you and how they can kind of build you up. Why are we doing this? Well, basically, I think it's important for parents and children to really learn how to communicate together. When I taught high school in Toronto, one of the main topics that we would always talk about in my classroom is how much the parents were annoying my students, and how my students couldn't wait to get away from their parents, or they'd go to their room, or there just wasn't a lot of communication going on. So I learned a lot from them, and I decided that I would talk as much as I could with my children, just to avoid this, oh, my kids want to get away from me type thing. And I probably won't be able to get away from that forever, but at some point they may not want to be with their cool dad, but I don't know. So we're just going to try to go through this thing together. I'm going to start with a quick story. I know growing up, my father wasn't really very communicative at all. He's Jamaican, and he didn't have the best upbringing in terms of communication. The adage says children should be seen but
not heard.
Seen but not heard. That is not the situation here. They are seen, they are heard, they are, everything. So my dad and I, growing up as a teenager wasn't the best scenario. So I would want to talk a lot and share, but I learned very early on that my dad wasn't like that. But I, obviously wanted to live in a house where mother and father were talkative, and you felt safe to talk to them, and that wasn't my situation. And I know that many people probably can relate with that. In particular, I remember a story where I was really frustrated with how it was in my house. Like, watching TV, I'm nervous. I don't want to say anything. Like, if I needed money from my dad for school or whatever, I was like super nervous to ask him. So one day I was super frustrated, and I went downstairs. My dad, he worked a couple jobs, one of which he was an entrepreneur. He was a tailor. So he was sewing in the basement, and I went down to him and I said, Dad, and this probably came out of the blue for him, but I was like, Dad, I can't handle this. Like, you don't say anything to me. I work hard in school, I don't get in trouble that much, pretty good. And you don't say anything to me. Like, so I had this moment where, I'm growing up, and I felt like, okay, I'm coming into myself as a teenager. Went to my dad and I said something that I wouldn't normally have said. And you know what his response was to me? And you've heard this story before, but my dad says to me, look, he kind of like stopped sewing for a second, and he sat up and he was like, well, if I don't have anything to say to you, you know that life is good, that it's okay. But the moment that I have something to say to you, you know that things aren't good. I was like, what? How is that how is that positive in any way? Like, can I get some positive reinforcement? But anyway, that was something that I've never forgotten. Fortunately, through lots of conversations and, pushing, my relationship with my father and my parents are wonderful. Like, my dad and I are, really, really great. So I don't know if you have anything to share, McKenna, about maybe a story, maybe an experience, maybe something about how words are important and how they affect people.
There was this one time in Rhema when we were doing the awards assembly, and I was called up and I won the award for principals list. And every time I went back to my seat, and because I got the most awards, I went back to my seat and everybody would look at me weird and not want to talk to me, and they'd talk about behind my back and say, how come she always gets principal's list? It's probably because her dad's the principal. And it always stuck to me, and it's kind of hard to just be the kid who gets principal's list and your dad's the principal. So
yeah, I can imagine how tough that was to be the principal's daughter. When McKenna said Rhema, her school that she went to before the school that she goes to now, I can imagine how impactful that might have been, where you feel like your friends would celebrate you, but instead they were talking behind your back. That's a tough situation. Did you ever resolve that with any of your close friends? Because I know that you probably are not going to go up to everybody, but was that any of your close friends doing that to you?
No, all of my friends would comfort me and say it's okay, like don't ignore them and all that stuff. So that got me through it. That was the good part. So
cool. I have a school experience as well that I remember in high school that kind of hurt my feelings. Kendall, you have anything? Not right now. Okay. So when I was in school, I still suffer from eczema. In the States, they call it eczema, when you have this rash on your hands and joints and stuff like that. And when I was in high school, I remember walking into the cafeteria and one of my friends yells out in the cafeteria, "Here comes alligator skin." Now, this is at the pinnacle of my flare up of eczema. So I've got the eczema all over my hands, my elbow, it's all over me. And so I didn't quite have low self-esteem, but it did affect me because I remember it to this day. We're friends. We're friends now, but that's how much words can impact you for a long period of time. We'll be back. We're just going to have a quick commercial break. This is one of the songs from one of my favorite artists. We'll play a little snippet from it, and we'll be back in a second. We're back, and we are still talking about conflict resolution. And so, when I think back to being young, I would almost prefer being spanked than my father yelling at me. Yeah. It was crazy. Like, I did not want my dad to yell at me. It was so horrible. Have you guys ever been yelled at before?
Many times.
Have you? How about you?
Yes.
How does it make you feel?
Well, I'd rather be yelled at than being spanked because it doesn't really affect me.
The yelling doesn't really affect her. How does the yelling affect you, McKenna?
I cry.
Okay, so we have two different daughters here reacting differently to being yelled at. One says that she prefers to be yelled at. The other says she can't handle it. And so what happens when, let's just go through it. Okay, so let's say mom says the room needs to be cleaned. Okay, and I know parents can't stand this, so they say, clean your room, I need you to clean your room. And so a parent, I'm going to speak for all parents, they mean clean your room right now. Okay, and so time goes by and parents walk by your room and your room's not clean, and no progress has been made, and then the yelling commences. Tell me, what is the disconnect between the parent saying, clean your room, and you not doing it? What's going on in your head between the instruction and it not getting done?
Because they never said when to do it. Even though you think, because you're a parent, that it means now, they never said when to do it.
Okay. So do you see the day and age that we live in, everybody? Okay, here we go. And so tell me, what is the situation why it's not done right away the first time after the parent says, do something?
We don't think to do it right away. That's the problem. We just, we procrastinate and wait until we actually ready to do it, and then it gets done. But we didn't think that's what you meant. That's why.
And so I talk to Simone about this all the time, and I say, I think we have failed as parents. I think we failed because we say stuff and our children don't respond quickly like how we had to respond quickly. And then we got to start, yelling and carrying on for them to get to do stuff. And we know that we're not alone, parents. We know we are not alone. But what we have learned is we kind of have to say to McKenna and say to Kendall, hey, this is something that I need you to do. This is the timeline that I want it done in. And this is serious. It's not a joke. This is something that I need you to do. And then when we say it like that, usually, we get the response that we're looking for. What we have to understand, and what you have to understand as parents, is that the generational gap is so far removed from how we were. Like, I could say my daughter's name. Let's say I say McKenna. Let's say I'm downstairs and she's upstairs. I say McKenna, and in my mind, I'm telling her to come to me, but I haven't said it. I haven't said come here, but I expect her to come. And so she doesn't come. And then later on I said, well, I called you. Why didn't you come? And she says,
you didn't say come.
You didn't say come. Do you think I could tell that to my father or my mother when they say my name? No way. I'd have to come right away. With the mere mention of my name, I had to come. One of the pet peeves I know that McKenna and Kendall probably wouldn't like is, and I do this all the time just because I sometimes abuse my power as a parent, is call them for things that are nearby me. Like I would say, hey, Kendall, come downstairs. And she comes downstairs and I say, hey, plug this in for me. How do you love that?
I love it very much. It's great.
The sarcasm is intense over here. But it's all good. I'm going to end this podcast with this statement. Communication is not something that you will learn overnight. It takes patience. It takes some trial and error. It takes a lot more listening than talking. It takes empathy. You have to actually listen to what your children are saying, and children need to listen and understand what parents are saying, and that open dialogue has to be there. And trust is very, very important. If your children don't trust you, if you embarrass them in public, if they don't trust you with their thoughts, it's going to be very difficult for your children to share with you. Being patient in discussions and actually carving out some time where you talk with your children and share and listen to their day, and don't jump down their throat when they share their mistakes. And this dialogue, this growing together in communication will get better over time. And that's all we have for today. So we have lots more to come. And we hope you enjoyed it, and we hope you got something from it. Have a great day. Signing out.
From McKenna.
Bye.
All right, peace out, everybody.